What's up, ballers? Welcome to episode 30 of the AllDriveNoDrop podcast. What is going on tonight, David? You are looking fresh.
Uh, I'm pretty tired. Just got back from a wedding, so I did get this cool bobblehead though as like a groomsman gift. So I
Oh,
think
that's
it
pretty
kind of
cool.
looks like me.
You know, it's
Yeah,
funny because all the AI like bobbleheads or whatever are going around. It seems like every AI trend I see like 50 people post it lately, but that's a nice gift. That's a good
yeah,
personal touch right there. So that was that the bachelor party that you went to for like a couple weeks ago or something?
yeah.
The
When I was in
Texas one?
Austin,
Okay.
yeah,
Nice. It's always good to see it come full circle.
mm,
Made the bachelor party, the wedding went through. I'm sure you partied and had a good time. Um,
yeah, definitely. We're
I
having a
was
fun time.
doing a little bit of different partying. I went to a water park hotel, Great Wolf Lodge, if anyone out there knows. And so it was fun. It was fun. The kids loved it, but it's definitely tiring. I think like the water park activities are more tiring than playing pickleball for sure. Like just swimming
Hmm.
gets me every time. I mean, I don't swim a ton. I used to swim a lot, but like, man, swimming is tiring. Just like tires me out. And yeah, I'm ready. I guess I'm ready to go to work now. So, what can you do? But we have some cool stuff going on today. A lot of paddle talk, um, and interesting discussion in what the pickle. But I guess we'll just dive right into it. I'll go through some paddles we'll talk about today. Wilson Pickleball has some new paddles. The Vatic Sagas. I have something I want to say about the Joola Pro IVs again. Uh, and then show you a little Thompson. I know they've been talked about before, but they kind of went quiet. They're a Michigan company. And then I know we really want to hear about the Gherkin Nightshade Elongated Love from you and what that's all about. But let's get in first to What the Pickle, sponsored by Enhanced Pickleball maker of the Dink Master Pro, one of the best training tools available. You know, you can get out there, you can practice your hands, you can practice dinking, and it just has such a better bounce, and you can tilt it to different angles to get different shots. Just something that is really practical for training, and for the same price as a Yola, you can have it last for a long time. So, what the pickle this week is what is going on with pro pickleball pay. So, I think I can't remember exactly. I think where I heard the original start of it, but then I started digging around, and a lot of the PPA contracts are coming up now, or some have already come up, and it sounds like what they're negotiating for their next deal is a lot less. Like from what I heard is, say someone made 300,000 per year on their previous deal, now they're going to make 100,000 per year for 3 years. So you sign a 3-year contract and basically divide whatever your annual salary was currently. So you're taking a big pay cut, and most of that prize money is going to be shifted to, or prize money. The salary is going to be shifted to prize money,
Okay.
which, because they feel like people just aren't hungry enough, there isn't enough effort. And I think you can see that, especially in like bronze medal matches. Like people are messing around, they're withdrawing. So you'll see, and I think there also will shift towards higher appearance fees. So to be rewarded just for, going to the tournament. And I don't know if those are locked in. I was hearing different numbers, like minimum would be 1,000. And if you're number one, it'd be 10 to 20,000. And then, obviously different range between there. I think that will be interesting. I think for the fans, having the prize money be larger makes sense, because at this time they don't even talk about the prize money when you watch the tournament.
Hmm.
And so you don't, and when I do watch these tournaments, I don't really feel like anything's on the line. Um, I just don't know, and I don't know what's on the line. They don't really make it clear what they're playing for, besides a gold medal, or a trophy, which I don't think the players or the fans really care about the trophies. They don't really mean anything. You have, there's not really, a Wimbledon, or something like that where it means anything. These tournaments change venues all the time. There's no meaning behind it. But if you told me these players are playing for 200,000 or whatever it is, if they win or if they lose, they get 50,000. I'm like, all right, they're 100% going all out for this game. Like, there's no question. So I don't know if you've heard about any of that, but what are your thoughts about how they should do it? And then do you think it's going to make it harder to be a pro? Because I imagine on the end, like the bottom end, how do those people sustain their lifestyle if their guaranteed contract ends up being like 20, 40,000? As a traveler, you know how expensive it is to travel
Yeah.
around. And like if they're traveling just for these tournaments and they're paying like 1 to 2K a tournament and then they're not making that money, like they're probably losing money each tournament, it will make it harder. So what you think
Yeah.
that's a good setup, or what do you think about all that?
Yeah. I guess it's like, it's like what you were mentioning earlier, how, you feel like there's nothing really on the line.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's just kind of how you feel like all these tournaments. I just feel like a lot of the times, like there's always like another gold medal for this person, another gold medal for Ben Johns, and then it's like they say the tournament name, but then it's you kind of just never really remember what happened at that tournament or like what the tournament was and like what he won. Just because like the terms, I feel like they just happen so frequently. They're like once every like 2 weeks or something,
Yeah.
and I think that might be part of the issue. Is just like they're so frequent, and then it just feels like there's always a tournament, there's always another medal, and it just kind of, in my opinion, just kind of dilutes it a bit. And I do think that like having that like, change in pushing it so it's like, okay, now the players are like playing for money. I think that's a better shift for the sport, honestly. I think that's how it is for like something like tennis. Like, there's not really a guaranteed salary for the players, as far as I'm aware. And I think it's mostly like, you have sponsor money and then, you're playing for that prize money for the tournament. So I think it makes sense to like put money on the line, make players, I guess, try a bit harder. I don't know if that's like related to like maybe the whole like Anna Lee dropping Catherine too. I think I did see a rumor about that was because prize money is becoming more of a thing. She like wanted to pick up someone that she potentially thinks is better.
I didn't even connect that, but that could be a thing too. It sounded like this wasn't happening this year, but who knows? Maybe they implement some more prize money into one of these tournaments, or like they have a championship come at the end of the year. Maybe they boost that up to start ramping up the excitement. That one's an interesting one too. That breakup, because I'm sure it from what I heard. Catherine Parento had like a 5 minute interview, and it sounded like it came as a complete shock to her. Like they didn't have like any, like Ben and Colin were talking about it. They knew, like Colin, I think, knew it was coming. And
Mm,
then for Catherine, I think it was just completely out of the blue, and she was shocked. It sounded like Annalie just gave her a quick phone call and
yeah.
just was like, "Hey, we're done." And it's interesting because I think Anna Bright was kind of having the same situation where they weren't having as much success, or it wasn't going as great as she wanted it to. So I guess maybe she was thinking about breaking up with
Rachel.
Rachel,
Yeah.
which is really weird after like all the girly stuff that they did. Like, it wasn't that long ago, so like it's weird that she was ramping up that brand and then all of a sudden the brand's kind of dead.
Yeah.
Uh, so it is interesting that she decided to like make the brand two people instead of just herself if she had thoughts of like leaving her. But what can you do? Yeah, that's a whole nother situation. I think they'll be pretty dominant, but what can you do? It's a professional sport. You're gonna make those hard choices and
Yeah.
move on. But I guess maybe the girly sweatshirts go up in price. They're $100. You think they're, with them being vintage, they go up to like 200, or now they like you can find them in a Goodwill or something.
Yeah. I don't know. Feel like I think it's the latter. I think because they're not even together anymore, so I don't think anyone would want them.
Yeah, yeah, it'd be kind of weird. Like if you were a fan of one of them, uh, you probably don't want the other on there anymore. I don't know. But anyway, so we'll see how all that shakes out, and then I think that probably also leaves room for the APP or possibly another tour if they wanted to start up to come in and kind of swoop things up. Because the only reason the salaries went so high is they had the tour wars. Now there's really no one competing, but there probably is room if someone with the right amount of money to back it could come in and swoop in now. Because at the end of the day, the players want money. I mean, of course they love playing, but if someone came in that's going to pay you double, which could be possible now since their salaries will be so low, you could see some people, jumping at the chance for a guaranteed money instead
Yeah.
of having to fight for prize. Especially if you're like, one of the 20th ranked guys. It's like, they're probably in their mind like, do I have a chance to win? Like maybe I could make a semifinals this year, but yeah, especially if the prize money is top heavy. I mean, they might go to the APP or they might go to one of these other tours that are starting up overseas that are maybe they got some money. So we'll see.
Yeah, I wonder if that like also changes kind of like the caliber, like the level of play at like bottom levels, mainly because um like these lower ranked people, if they don't get a guaranteed salary, like are they going to switch to pickleball full time, or are they going to be like those people that have full time jobs and are just occasionally playing in tournaments? Like, are we going to see more of people that like need that have full time jobs come in, and then less of people that are doing pickleball full time because the salary isn't guaranteed anymore? And it's like you need to be at the top basically to sustain yourself financially if you're traveling for
Yeah.
all these tournaments.
I imagine there will be more people with jobs, and maybe they just transition it to like pickleball jobs, like teaching and stuff. But
Mm.
I mean, how unless you already are coming from money and you got someone supporting you, or maybe you can get a sponsorship from a paddle company, which I also heard the paddle company sponsorships are kind of decreasing in price. I mean, you have to pay for your stuff somehow, and if the PPA isn't giving you like any travel stipend either, which I don't know if they do. I don't believe they do. And then especially if you're not a signed pro, then you have to actually pay for the tournament. You pay like
Yeah.
$300-$400 just to get in the tournament. You pay for your hotel, you pay for your flights. I mean, you have to work to keep paying for it unless you're gonna save up and try to play. And yeah, barrier to entry is going up for pro
Yeah.
pickleball. You're gonna have to work off. You're gonna work your butt off to get in there.
Mm.
But that is what it is. So going on to I guess it's kind of like we always talk about paddles, but don't really have like a segment name for it, right? So maybe this won't stick. I had a few different things, but here's the question that I know you probably get asked a lot too. Even in person, I feel like it's even more. They're like, hey, I know you hit a lot of paddles and you say this paddle's good or you say this paddle's good, but what's the best pickleball paddle? So for now, like working title, the segment's going to be called What's the Best Pickleball Paddle? Do you get that question a lot?
Oh yeah, especially like people that like don't really follow like YouTubers. Like they just kind
Uh-huh.
of know that I review
Yeah.
paddles. They don't actually watch my videos. So they're always asking
Yeah.
like, "Oh, so what's the best paddle right now?" I was like, I mean, it's just subjective. Like it's
It just
you know,
depends. Yeah, that's
yeah,
definitely a question I get a lot from people that don't watch YouTube reviews too. They're
yeah,
like, "What's the best paddle?" No, like really tell me what's the secret. I'm like, so
yeah.
what's the best pickleball paddle? And we're happy to say that that segment is going to be sponsored by Bodhi Pickleball, and they make some of the best grips out there. They make the dry grips, they make tacky grips, they have arm sleeves, they have a nice new premium bag, and great prices too, great color variety, a lot of good stuff. And I actually really like the wristbands right now as well, and have been able to break out the sun sleeves a couple times now that I've been outside. So a lot of variety there. You can get everything at Bodhi.com. So go check that out. Happy to have them as a sponsor for What's the Best. So let's start out with Wilson. Got these last Wednesday,
Mhm.
and Wilson's had some paddles around, whatever. I don't know exactly if they were creating them before or they, were kind of like getting people to make them, but it seems like this is kind of their first main try into pickleball. So these are going to be called the Vespers. They have this is a 14 millimeter. I don't know if they call it. I don't think they called it elongated or anything, but this is like 16.35, we'll say. Uh,
Okay.
and it is a they what do they call this? They call this a free flex throw and a carbon optimics a so it's a molded frame, I guess. And they say that there's like an edge guard that goes in here too, because like kind of what would you say? This kind of looks edgeless, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they said there's an edge guard that goes inside the polypropylene in here, and they have a full ring of foam in here, and that's just kind of I think just like the
Isn't that just
the
a thermoform panel? So it's just
yeah,
like
like a
carbon tyrosine.
thermoform. Yeah,
Yeah.
just like the thermoform. So the interior doesn't seem like it's anything new. It's kind of more this throat with this frame around it, which you would think like I think we've seen some stuff kind of similar. This material felt a little bit more solid. It was actually I think like the Onyx paddle, the was it the Malice kind of looks slightly similar
Oh,
to
yeah, I know what
this.
you're talking about. Yeah.
And I was feeling it, and the Onyx one just felt kind of like flimsier, so I wasn't sure if that was like a similar build or not. I don't have the construction for that, but it didn't really feel the same. So this one's interesting, and I think a fully molded handle as well. And then carbon fiber, but they have a bottom layer of fiberglass, so it looks like they're paying attention to what's going on. First time I was hitting with the Wilson Vesper, uh, wasn't the best, but I was like out of my element, wasn't in the same place. Second time, started liking it a lot more. It is pretty poppy. Being a 14 millimeter, it definitely was on the poppier side. Power, I would say it's like all core, maybe leaning power. It definitely needs some weight. It does feel like the frame is a little on like the frame that they call this. I guess we'll call it an edgeless frame. I don't know. It's feels like it's decently dense and heavy. So I put some strips of tungsten tape there. I need more time with it. It was interesting the feeling on some bigger strokes, but I just need some more time with it to see if it's anything different. I was interested. I got a lot of DMs about the Wilson paddle. I didn't think people would be so interested in it as they were, but a lot of people around the industry too asking about it. So I'll have to give it some more time before I get some thoughts, and we'll probably have to get these to you as well to see if there's anything there. But interesting when we got the tennis companies coming in.
Yeah.
Always
I'm curious
good to
about like
see.
how the throat flex at all. Like, did you feel anything about that? Well, like when you're hitting?
Yeah, so that's the thing I want to try to test more because I did feel like I was getting some flex and some extra dwell time, but I'm like, man, is it just because they told me that I was gonna get it?
Yeah.
Like I wish I didn't read about it, but I did feel like I was getting some flex, but I just I don't know. I'm gonna have to go. I wish I could blind test it with some other paddles, but unfortunately, it's not really possible. Yeah, it did feel like I was getting some flex. It did feel like I was getting some like pocketing with the flex. So, and that's what I got today when I was feeling it, and I was like, wow, that feels really good. And I haven't felt that exactly before, so that's why it was hard for me to really know if that's what I was like feeling because I hadn't felt that feeling before. So
Mhm.
I'll have to give it some more time, uh,
Gotcha. Okay.
and hopefully someone else can weigh in on that too if they're feeling the same thing or did they market me so hard that it's it's in my brain. But yeah, so more to come on that next week too. So
Okay.
now going on to the Vatic Saga 14 millimeters, which I think we're originally supposed to come out April 15th. I don't know if that's still happening or not, but let's go up. Which ones have you hit the most?
V7, as you can tell by my ball dust pattern. It's just mainly
V7.
hitting this
All
one.
right, all right, all right.
Yeah, I don't like the
And
long handle for
what are
that
your
one.
thought? What are your the long handle or short?
I only hit the short handle.
Oh,
I
short handle.
briefly hit the long handle. I didn't like that one as much. I also just didn't like. I don't like the long handle shape. I like the shorter
Uh-huh.
handle on the elongated ones.
Uh-huh.
But I like this one a lot. I just wish the samurai was showing more because people legitimately thought I was using the original V7, and then they were
Oh
like, "Oh,
yeah.
why are you hitting that? Shouldn't you be hitting something new?" And I was like, "No, this is new." And they had to come closer and then see that it was actually the Saga. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it was a bit stiffer than I expected. I think um, there was a bigger like obviously for the 14s you're gonna have that smaller sweet spot compared to the 16s. But yeah, I definitely felt there was like a sharper drop off in that power like once you miss off center, and it was a bit stiffer than I would have preferred. But I think this is a good paddle overall though. Like personally, not for me. I still like the 16s over this one.
Uh-huh.
But it gives you like with some weight added onto it. It's definitely got like noticeably more power compared to the 16s, but um, very good option from them, I think.
Yeah. I think I would classify this series as like a power paddle series. I feel like the pop and power is there. And then as far as like, so I've put some time on each of them. Definitely not a long handle fan. I was just gonna rank them because I feel like people always want these series ranked. So I'm just gonna give you my favorite to least favorite. The bloom is my favorite shape of the series, which was kind of surprising to me. I really like the flash shape that Vatic Pro makes. So the bloom just has, I think, is the best iteration of this 14 millimeter technology. It just has
Mhm.
the biggest sweet spot, and with this not some of these not having the biggest sweet spot compared to like other 14 millimeters in those shapes, I think this really helps. And the bloom, honestly, the power, the consistency of the power was probably more than the other shapes, that just because the sweet spot was bigger for me, and the top end power really wasn't that much farther off than the flash and the V7. And then I could get more pop out of it. So for me, Bloom was like heads and shoulders above the rest of the series. And then I would go Flash short handle, and then I would go V7 short handle, and then Flash long handle, V7 long handle. The V7 long handle, I was probably playing with like a 3-5 with that paddle. It was a little rough. Like that one was really noticeable how much smaller the sweet spot was than the Bloom. But yeah, the Bloom was my favorite of the series. Really enjoy that one. I could see taking that one to a tournament, no problem. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's funny for me because actually out of the 16s, the Bloom was my least favorite. But it's actually my favorite for the 14s. I think it's
Hmm.
comparable to the Flare Prime X. It's not as it's a little it's stiffer feeling. So it's not as
Yeah,
like less of that like denser feel that you kind of get
yeah.
on the Flare. But yeah, the Bloom 14, I thought that one was really good. That was actually probably my favorite one, I would say. Yeah, that was my favorite one out of the 14s. And then I would go
Hmm.
V7 and then Flash long handle actually, and then I would go
Hmm.
V7 long handle.
Okay.
Um, no, Flash is my least favorite. I just hate that in both 16 and 14.
It is weird because that for me too, the Bloom 16 millimeter in the Saga series was probably one of my least favorites. So I re- I mean, I was hopeful that the 14 would be good, but I wasn't expecting it to be my favorite. So that's, it was a interesting one because usually like the difference between the 14 and 16 isn't so drastic in a series, but yeah, it was
Yeah. That
easily
was the
my
one I was looking most forward to when you said they're making the sagas in 14. I was like, I think
yeah,
the Bloom is gonna be the best one.
yeah, 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 yeah. I agree. It was awesome, and I think it'll be a hot seller. So I don't
Yeah.
know April 15th, and also I think the price is going to be 129.99 before any discounts.
Mhm.
I believe that was the price. They're lowering the price, and that's just an amazing price for like. So now if you're looking for a power paddle, like you really can't. I don't think you can get low. I mean, you might be able to get lower, but not from a reputable brand that I know of right now. But yeah, great prices there. And April 15th was the last I heard, but it might be delayed because I think they're waiting for approval on. So they have the Flash approved.
Yeah.
They're waiting to get approval on the others. So I think he wanted to wait until they're all approved. But
Yeah.
they might be
Plus,
approved tomorrow. I don't know.
because like the flash is still like what 0.44, so I think they're also slightly worried about that for the
Yeah,
PB
that
core.
could be it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if they talked about what the what like so 0.44 is the limit now, and then next year at some point, I don't know if they have a designated time, 0.43 will be the limit, but I don't know if that means that when it transitions to 0.43, like the paddles that are 0.44 get sunset in the way that the paddles did now. So like say like they will go through a 6 month process where there's sunset, or they like automatically stopped at a certain time. That's not clear to me. Um, I don't think USAP has that cleared either.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But yeah, something to take of note. But honestly, if you're getting it now, it probably won't really be a big deal because you'd be playing with it for like a year. So,
Mm.
it'd be time for your next paddle anyway. Moving on to the Joola Pro 4s. So this is kind of a question I keep getting, and I really just need to make like a YouTube short or something so I can stop typing the same thing. They always ask, it, which should I get, the 16 millimeter or the 14 millimeter? What's the difference? And these are the Scorpiuses. Those are on sale now. Really like them. So this is the way for me, and then maybe you can tell me how you feel about the differences between the two. So the difference between the 14 millimeter and the 16 millimeter Joola Pro 4 Scorpius, the 16 millimeter is going to have more power. It's going to have a bigger sweet spot. It's going to feel a little bit plusher. It's not going to have as much pop as the 14 millimeter. Some people will have trouble controlling their drives a little bit more with the 60 millimeter just because the power level is higher. So if you think that the power level being higher is going to be an issue for you, then you might want the 14 millimeter. And then the 16 millimeter, the resets are still really good. Because of that bigger sweet spot, some might have it easier with the 14 millimeter just because it has more pop. The 14 millimeter is going to be stiffer. It's going to have more pop. That might help you with your resets. It might not. It just depends if you want to let the paddle do more work for you. I would say their spin is pretty much the same. I would say the 16 gets a little bit more because it does have a little bit more dwell time than the 14, but I don't think you'll notice too much of a difference in the spin. So those are the main differences. I think for most people, the 16 um, would probably be good, but if you really like to let the paddle do the work for you, you want it to be a little bit more maneuverable, and you want a little bit more room for customization with your weight setup, then the 14 millimeter might be better. So those are the main differences I see between the two paddles.
Gotcha.
And did I miss anything? You feel differently?
I mean, yeah, I think that basically describes those like
Okay.
14 versus 16 millimeter
Yeah.
paddles. I mean, unfortunately, I haven't hit I only have the 14
Okay.
Scorpio, so I don't have the 16, and I still haven't hit the 14 yet, so
Yeah.
I can't speak too much onto that.
Got you. I feel like that. Yeah, that's maybe that's a video idea right there. Just the difference between 14 and 16 and what
Or you just
you.
clip this part right here.
Well,
Post
actually,
that.
that's probably the plan. I'm gonna clip this part. That's why I did it like that. I wanted to clip it. Um. So yeah, there you go. That's my answer on the Joola Pro 4s. What's the difference between the 14 and 16? So moving on, I wanted to talk real quick about the Thompson paddles, which I know have been talked about before, but it's been a long time, and they kind of went dark. And I know they had some handle issues. I never had hit them before, and I still haven't hit them, but now I have them. This is actually like the
I thought you had like an invisible paddle or something. I was so
that,
confused.
oh, you don't see it?
No.
So this is like what they're, I guess, like you would say, like, is their edge, right? So they sent me this. It just feels like a hard plastic. It's called their sidewall. This is kind of interesting at the end. I guess their handle goes like that. So interesting to see. No paddle there. And then they have what, the twill and the uni. This is the twill. So I think before people are complaining about the handle, this handle is different. So I'll see what it's like if I put an overgrip on it. But I know some are like we're really liking the power on these paddles. So we'll check it out and we'll see what's going on. They're a Michigan made company, so gotta try all the Michigan companies out. Since I live here. But and a lot of people have been asking me about it like over the time, so I'm like, all right, let's try it out. Try out the Thompson and get with that. Um, but last thing on the list, we want to talk about the Gherkin Nightshade Elongated. If you haven't seen Speak Pickleball's list, John from Speak Pickleball made a nice Instagram post with a lot of the reviewers and content creators and their main paddle. And David had the Gherkin Nightshade Elongated as his main right now. I guess the main for the month of April. You can't change it for all of April
Yeah.
since it's already a post. So tell us about that and why do you love it so much? Was it the transition when you were maining the G Spot trainer and then you went to the Nightshade? Is that why like you just wanted to stay with the same brand? Do you still use the G Spot trainer? And how's that been going for you too?
No, the G Spot trainer is gathering dust over there.
Oh,
Yeah, it's just actually I feel like if I move it, it's like it's not stable up there. Like all these paddles, so I'm
oh,
scared
they're
to move
holding.
one of them. I feel like not. They're like leaning against the wall. That's how they are.
Oh
So
man.
like if I
Be,
like jump up, like everything's gonna collapse.
okay.
Uh,
Be careful. Be careful.
but yeah, I spent like maybe 2 weeks trying to figure out which paddle I was gonna do for the month of April.
Okay.
And that was like a lot of me just I knew I wanted an elongated paddle, and I'll probably do like a longer video on this. But yeah, I just tried out like everything. So like power paddles, control, and then all court, and then kind of realized like okay, I like definitely doing elongated paddle. I wanted to be in that like all court to like all court leading power category. So like the short list, I had like the Shogun. Um, then I was trying on another one of the Gherkin paddles that was like originally on the list. So the Nightshade I wasn't actually going to consider at first. I was considering it was like the Aspire. So that was like their budget like $100 paddle. Because at that time I wasn't sure like oh maybe I just like a regular like elongated Gen 2 paddle. So I actually had that one on and I kicked that one off. So I wasn't even considering Gherkin at all. And then the Nightshade came in and I was hitting with it and I was like this actually feels nice. It's for 14 millimeter elongated, like I didn't expect to like it because previous experiences have been with things like the Carbon 1X, and those are just like that 14 millimeter and like the Holbrook 14 millimeter elongated. Those are just like too stiff feeling for me, and the feel isn't like harsh for the Nightshades. Like they just have like a nicer feel, and um, when it came down to like the final ones, like the Shogun, I felt like I was playing well with that, but then I just felt like I had a better like skill ceiling with the Nightshades, and then I was just playing better overall. I was connecting with the feel, and then the Sagas came in really hot, the 14 millimeters, and I like the V7s, but then when I switched to the Nightshade, I was like, I think the V7 is just a bit too stiff for my feeling, for my liking, and then the Nightshades just had a bit more of a denser feel. I was just controlling the ball better. So overall, it's just like with like a good weight setup right now, like I'm getting used to playing with that 14 millimeter, and yeah, overall, like been playing some good games with it. So just for the month of
Okay.
April, could have made that. Maybe for the reviewer tournament, I'll bring that. But I think realistically, I'll probably bring the Shogun just because it's sponsored by Bread and Butter. But
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
time being, right now, Nightshade is my go-to.
Okay. What's your weight setup on that? I know, people are gonna ask
Yeah,
what your weight
I
setup
go
is.
8 and 4. I have like zero point 0.1 ounce strips that go down from there to the throat. And then I added another strip just at 8 and 4. I might add a little bit more actually on like 9 and 3. I might go for like 8 and 4, 9 and 3, like a smaller strip, like not like a zero point 0.1 ounce, but maybe like 0.05 ounces there.
Okay.
Still experimenting with that because I do need a bit more stability. Like I'm just not hitting the sweet spot as well as I'd like it. It's not too heavy of a paddle, so I could definitely modify it a bit more and then just have electrical tape all over it. But
Okay. Yeah, I have been liking adding electrical tape, especially on the elongated. It's just, to get a little weight, but not too much on the top
mm,
there. I feel like it helps a little bit. And I know you're more doing it for the style, right? You don't want to, you want to make your stuff look pretty good. or you find it just the
It's
weight benefit?
it's actually for weight. So
Okay,
some of them
it's
actually
not the
don't
style.
look
I
really
was
good.
like,
Yeah.
some of them look really good with your style. Like, I think you had. Did you have orange on your Vatic? They look pretty good.
Yeah, and then like
Yeah.
sometimes like the colors don't match. It's just like, oh, I only have a few colors that I can choose from.
Oh man, I try to like match sometimes. Like that's a good thing that like Bodhi has like a decent variety. But the one that was really hard to match was the Olympus because
Oh
that
yeah,
gold was just clashing. But they
yeah,
had this like think it was called Stone, and it was like like off gray something, but it matched kind of perfectly with the Olympus because that was the one I was like at that time when I was mating it, I was like, man, really hard to make this gold look good with different edge. I mean, black you could always do, but it was just like you couldn't do blue. It was blue's like the most common color for the over grips, and like you couldn't do any bold colors with the gold. It wasn't good, and
I think I did
yeah,
purple with mine, just to have like a little purple and gold.
I could see purple being good. Yeah, that's the only problem with the gold edge guards. It's a little hard to match if you're
Well, you
looking to
also
keep that
like
style.
you have to get permission from Doug to use gold anyway, so you can't.
That is true. You do have to get permission from Doug to use the gold over grips, so that's very true. Um, I don't. I had something else I wanted to say, but if do you have anything else? Let me try to see if it's in my mind. There was something I wanted to say, but I can't remember now.
All right, I'll just keep talking until you
Yeah,
figure this out.
keep
All
going.
right. For me, I guess I haven't been posting too much lately, but gonna try to get back into it now that I've got some more free time. But been working on a wide body paddle comparison, so trying to hit like all the 2025 like wide body releases and some of that like came out towards the tail end of 2024. Just kind of doing some rankings there. Do you need me to keep going?
No, it's okay. Okay, so you're doing a wide body ranking. I'll have to set. Maybe I will send you that Wilson tomorrow. Then, if you want to, are you already like in the process of doing that?
Oh, I just need to cut the video together. I've
Never
just been,
mind, never
yeah,
mind. All right.
yeah.
I was like, you could add the Wilson in there. But yeah, so I don't remember exactly what I was thinking, but wish David and I luck. I don't know when we'll find out, but we're in the lottery for Beer City, so hopefully we
Yeah.
get in. I think that it's like a 14 team bracket or something. So that'd be the. Have you played in anything like that big? I don't think I've played in anything that's 14 teams. Or you've probably played in like a PPA before or something, haven't you?
No, I've never
Or
done
no?
BPA, so.
Okay. Yeah, 14 teams. That's a lot. So that'd be fun. I think we'll get in. Though having some good luck lately. So we'll keep rolling. But yeah, I think that's all we have. We're keeping it nice, short, and sweet for everybody to start off your April Monday. Thank you so much, David. Any last words?
Nope, nothing from me.
All right. Peace out, everybody. Have a good one.